Hey there, thank you for your interest in the FHLBank Topeka Affordable Housing Program. I'm Erica Skinner and I work in the Housing and Community Development Department. This presentation will walk you through submitting an AHP homeownership application. I will cover the registration, submission, and navigation process. I'll also go over some potential difficulties within the system and ways to maximize your score. We'll also briefly review some feasibility items. Here we have a few helpful hints to help you through the process of submitting an application. The page will time out at approximately 20 minutes. Fields with stars are required to save the page. Diamonds are required to submit the application. If there is a save option, always select Save, then Next before navigating away from the page. They don't save automatically. You don't want to use the Enter key on the keyboard or the back button on the browser. You can locate our documents from the website within the Application tab. I cannot stress enough the importance of clicking Save before navigating away from the page. You will lose data if you don't save. In addition, there is a Now we'll walk through the registration process. To access the application website, you can go directly to the website address listed on the slide or the links available on our website. Once you're on the application website, select Sponsor Sign In. If you have a consultant or a developer that you're working with, they will also want to use the Sponsor Sign In link. Please understand that although a consultant or a developer can access and fill in some of the application, the sponsor should be the one to register and initiate the application. Later on in this process, I will go over how the sponsor can associate the consultant or developer as an input role within the application. Once you select Sponsor Login, you'll want to enter all the information on this page. In the middle of the page is a link that says Send Verification Code. Select that link and a code will be sent to the email address you just entered. That code is only good for 3 minutes, so make sure you're available to check that email address. If not, it's okay. You can always have a new code sent to you. After you receive the code via email, you'll want to enter it in the box that says Verification Code, then select the Create button. Next is the second authentication step. You will be required to enter a phone number. This can be a cell phone number or it can be a direct work phone number. You will then be sent a second verification code via text that you'll need to enter, or you can also choose the Call Me option, and with that option, you'll follow the prompts given over the phone. You'll be required to do this step for each future login. The phone number that you register with cannot be changed easily. You'll have to contact HCD and we will request the phone number be updated. However, the system does allow you to easily change your password and email address within the system. Once you've successfully logged in, you'll be directed to the user profile page. A few of the fields on this page are read-only and you are not able to change them. Other fields are not required. You'll need to complete at least the required fields before moving on. When you enter the street address and zip code for your organization, you'll then select the lookup button. This will auto-populate the city, county, state, and the remaining fields. You may have noticed that we do ask for the zip +4. If you don't know the 4-digit code, you'll want to go to the USPS.com link to look that up. I do have that website listed at the end of this presentation. Once you've completed this page, select Save. During this portion of the registration process, we ask that you set up an organization profile. If you are the first person to register with your organization, you'll want to select Create New Organization. If you believe that someone else has already registered your organization, choose Select an Existing Organization. Enter a few letters of the organization name, select your organization, and then Next. With this page, we want to know what type of organization you are and what services you provide. We'll also be asking for the address again. Please make sure to enter the sponsor's business address. This information is about the sponsor organization, not the application itself. If you are creating a new organization, the fields will be empty and you'll want to complete the information on the page. If you choose an existing organization, you'll want to just verify the information is correct and select Next. Next are questions regarding the area your organization serves. This information will be pre-populated if you previously selected an existing organization. Otherwise, complete the fields by using the arrow or the Add button and then select Next. Review the information you just provided about your organization. If you need to edit anything, choose Back. Otherwise, select Submit. The next page you'll come to, which I don't have a picture of, is the confirmation screen. The only difference from this page is that only one button will show up at the bottom and it will say Finish. Select that button to complete the sponsor organization information. One thing to keep in mind regarding the 5 pages that you've just completed, they all have to be completed and the Finish button must be selected to register. If you don't complete all steps, you'll need to redo your registration. Once you've completed the registration steps, if the round is open, you will come to the My Applications page. From here, you can choose to initiate your application. If the round is not open yet, the landing page will show as My Projects and you will not be able to move forward with an application until the round does open. Check the FHLBank Topeka website for critical dates such as round opening and application due dates. At this point, you're ready to initiate an application. There will be blue question marks at the top of most pages as well as within some pages. These are some tips that will help you as you're completing the pages. When you get to the question that reads, Application is, there will only be one drop-down option called Consumer Driven. This is a system requirement, and even though there is no other option, you do still have to choose Consumer Driven. As with the previous page, once you enter the zip code, select the lookup button and the city, county, and state will auto-populate. One more thing to go over on this slide. If you have to choose rehabilitation or acquisition, you cannot have a combination application. In addition, sponsors are limited to one type of an acquisition application and one rehabilitation application. Multiple or combined applications of the same type are no longer allowed. After entering the application information, you'll be asked to select a lead contact. The lead contact with all applications is the sponsor organization. Type in a few letters of the sponsor's name and options will appear. Select the sponsor and then the contact names will appear. Each contact must register before their names will appear here. If you want multiple people to have access to this application and their name does not appear on this page, that means they have not yet registered. You'll need to cancel the application and begin again once they have registered. Next, we'll review the input role. The input role will be organizations such as consultants or developers that you may be working with. If the consultant is starting the application for you, or if the developer will need to complete part of the application, they must register themselves and their organization for access to AHP Online. They will want to follow the same steps you did by choosing Sponsor Login. Just like the sponsor organization and contact name, if the organization name or contact name for the consultant does not appear, you must cancel the application and have them register. For the input role, you can have multiple organizations and contact names given access to a particular application. You do not have to choose anyone for the input role. This page can be left blank. Just select Next. One other thing to mention here, if this application receives an AHP subsidy and becomes a project, the input role will not have access past the application. Currently, they will not be allowed to submit anything for monitoring or disbursements. The last part of initiating an application is to associate it with a member of Federal Home Loan Bank Topeka. The member has to register for access to the system via a different method. They must complete an AHP HSP authorization form. This form is available on the AHP website and the hard copy must be mailed in. Once we receive that form, the member contacts will receive an email with their username and temporary password. They will then need to select member login and update their password. It may take several weeks to process the original form that's submitted to us. If the member organization name does not appear here, that means they may not have completed the form and are not yet registered. You must cancel the application and contact your member to let them know they need to complete the AHP HSP authorization form. Talk to your member before choosing the contacts. The member may want multiple people to have access to this application. I know for sure there are several members who have 2 to 3 people who want access to all AHP projects. You will have to choose those contacts now at the beginning stages of the application. This is not something that's easily changed after the application is submitted. If there are any questions about this process, please contact HCD. With the Review and Submit page, you are reviewing the information just entered. If anything needs to be corrected, select the Back button. If everything looks correct, click Submit. The next page is the confirmation page, which I don't have a slide of as it's exactly the same information as on this screen. The only difference will be the box at the bottom will say Finish. Once you select Finish, you've completed the process of initiating an application. If you have more than one application to work on, you can stop at this point and initiate another application. Or you can just continue on with this one. This is another spot similar to the registration process. You have to complete all 6 steps for an application to be initiated. If you are unable to complete all the steps, you'll need to start over and initiate the application again. At this point, you've initiated an application. Once you start to complete the different sections of the application, this is how the application homepage will appear. There are a number of links, all with red X's on the right side. The red X's indicate the page needs to be completed. There is a legend at the bottom of the page which explains the progress of the different sections. A red X means the page has not been visited or saved. A yellow check mark indicates that the page is in progress or a required piece of information has not yet been completed. A green check mark means the page has been completed successfully, and a red exclamation point indicates that HCD staff has modified something on that page. The final requirement to successfully submit an application is that all sections must have a status with a green check mark. We're now going to start reviewing each section. Some pages have little quirks that we'll discuss how to navigate. Application information is where you'll start to tell us all about the project proposed. On this page, you'll want to enter the zip code of the proposed project. If there's not one specific development or geographical area, in other words, this is a scattered site project, you want to enter the zip code of the sponsor. This is the case for most homeowner applications. Below that, the project description box has 4,000 characters available. Now don't feel as if you have to use all of them, but we do want a good description of the proposed project. This is your chance to tell us what you want us to know. The questions on the bottom of the page are pretty basic. Remember, before navigating to the next page, click Save before selecting Next. This is a must. If you forget, all your information will be lost. If you think this might be an issue, write out your project description on a Word document and then copy and paste into the description area. You will know you saved the page when you see the confirmation box at the top of the page that indicates the application information has been saved. You can also navigate by clicking on the tabs at the top of the page, but again, you still have to choose Save first. Next is the site information. This is an area of the application that's pretty important and a little tricky. Here you'll indicate how many units the application has. Out of those units, how many addresses are known. Most homeowner applications will not have any known addresses, and that's okay. You are allowed to enter a zero. However, please realize if you are attempting donated property, you must have proof of donations at the time of the application. Therefore, you must enter those known addresses at this point. So whether or not you're attempting the donated property commitment and whether or not you know any addresses, first the system will require you to enter a central site. For that, you'll enter the sponsor address. Once you have the address listed, including your zip plus 4, click the lookup button. This will automatically enter the city, state, congressional district, and the remaining fields. At this point, it's very important to select the Update Central Site button before choosing Save. If you have questions about completing the page, utilize the question marks at the top of the page and within the page itself. The information is extremely useful. In addition, don't forget about the user guide that's available on our website. Again, it's okay to have no known addresses, but only if you are not attempting points for donated property. As a reminder, you must have a minimum of 20% of the units to receive donated property points. Once the central site is located, you'll select Add Known Sites. In my example, I have 20 total units, and therefore in the field that asks how many addresses are known, I've entered 4. When you are entering the physical address for a known site, follow the same steps you did before when entering the central site, and don't forget to click the lookup button once you've entered the address. Once the site is entered, you can begin answering questions. Remember, only questions with stars or diamonds are required. If the field is required before moving to the next page or before saving the application and is left empty, a reminder or warning will pop up when you try to save the page. Once you've entered all the required information and answered the questions for that one particular site, select Update Site. Don't forget to indicate in the drop-down that the site is donated. Once the information for a particular site is completed, you'll want to continue the process for all known addresses by selecting Add Known Site. So I've entered a known address and I've saved my page. Notice that my check mark at the top is yellow. It should be green, right? It's because I've only entered one known address. I previously indicated that I knew 4 addresses. The system will let you move past this page, however, it will not let you submit the application without completing the required information. We're moving on from the site information to fair housing. This page is pretty self-explanatory. Federal Home Loan Bank requires sponsors to comply with all federal, state, and local fair housing laws. There is a fair housing form that's available on our website and must be completed and uploaded to this page. If you will require on-site religious activities or have gender restrictions, you will need to click Yes and submit a legal opinion from a reputable law firm that states you are exempt from fair housing laws. This next page is pretty self-explanatory as well, with one little quirk. If you are a rehabilitation project and are not providing homeownership counseling, you have to select either closing costs or down payment assistance. Unfortunately, there is a requirement in the system that one of these boxes must be checked. And even though we all know rehabilitation projects generally won't have closing costs or won't need down payment assistance, the system makes you pick one of the options. You can only choose homeownership counseling if that is one of your scoring commitments made in the Promotion of Empowerment section. In addition, we want to know if you've submitted this application to another Federal Home Loan Bank or if this application was previously approved by FHLBank Topeka. Don't confuse these questions with if you've ever had an application with another bank or with FHLBank Topeka. We are specifically talking about this exact application. Before we move on to the scoring criteria, I want to show you what the application homepage looks like. You will hopefully have all green check marks, but if you have yellow ones, just click on the link to that page and review for missed items.
2021 brings a change in scoring priorities and commitments. Please refer to the 2021 AHP Implementation Plan and 2021 AHP Application User Guide for more information regarding the required documentation needed to submit in the application.
Feasibility, everyone's favorite section. It's always best to complete the feasibility workbook before you start the application. You need information from the feasibility workbook to even begin the application, so complete that first. The import spreadsheet page is where you'll upload the completed feasibility workbook. All application types must complete and upload a workbook. If it was completed correctly, you'll receive confirmation via the green check mark at the top of the page once you select Save. If it was not completed correctly, you will receive a warning at the top of the page. You will have to remove the upload, fix your workbook, and re-upload a corrected workbook. Don't worry, you can do this as many times as you need. We will only receive the last one that is saved and submitted with the application. If you have trouble with uploading, please call us for technical assistance. We can help with all questions right up until the round closing date. This page is actually much longer than what is shown on the slide. This slide shows you the top half of the import spreadsheet page once the workbook is uploaded and accepted. This is the bottom half of that same page. The bottom half of this page is not so important for owner-occupied projects. Because of the way the system works, we will not be reviewing the bottom portion of this page. We will review the actual numbers in the feasibility workbook instead. These are the same numbers, but they are grouped together differently in how the system needs them, not how HCD will analyze them. The feasibility analysis page is reviewing our guidelines listed in the IP against the amounts you've listed in the feasibility workbook. The goal is that this page should be empty with a note that no action is required. If a feasibility guideline issue is found, select the Explain link on the left. You can also select the More Info link to see a brief description of what the guideline is. If you want more information about guidelines, please use the AHP Implementation Plan Exhibits A and B. It is sectioned out for rental versus owner occupied, so make sure you're on the right section. Once you select Explain, a new section will open up. This is what the page will look like if you have to explain a feasibility guideline issue. The system will indicate what the guideline actually is in the standard column versus the amount you had in the feasibility workbook listed in the actual column. You'll want to explain why you're over the guideline and then select Update Feasibility Issue. Once you do that, the Explained column will indicate yes. Repeat these steps for all feasibility guideline issues. The last section of financial feasibility for most applications is the commitment letters. Please note, sources such as permanent mortgages, owner equity, and AHP subsidy will not require a commitment letter. Other sources like home funds, weatherization grants, and other loans will require a commitment letter to be uploaded. Next, I'll review how to upload commitment letters for financing on this next slide. However, before moving on, I want to mention that the questions on the bottom are geared towards rental projects and to just answer no. The only exception to that would be for rehabilitation applications. Please answer yes to the question, is this project an existing occupied project? If you have a type of source that requires a commitment letter, select the Attach link next to the source of funds. Once uploaded, select the Update Commitment Letter link, and the source should now show Letter Provided. For rehabilitation applications, there will be one more tab to complete in the feasibility section of AHP Online, and that's Rehabilitation Information. Here, you will describe the type of repairs and upload estimates. For the displacement page, generally only rehabilitation applications might have displacement. Will the rehab be so extensive that the homeowner has to move out of their home? If you know that you are submitting that type of application, make sure to indicate that here and have any costs associated with that listed on the feasibility workbook. The sponsor rule page is asking a few more questions about what type of activities the sponsor will be doing for this specific application. Check all the boxes that apply. If you choose Other, remember to describe the role. Complete the sponsor experience form that is available on our website and upload here. Now we've come to the primary developer question. Let me start off by saying most of the time, homeowner applications will always want to answer yes to this question. As a sponsor, you are generally also acting as a developer. Again with this screen, generally with owner-occupied applications, the only team member is the sponsor. However, the role selection page will require that at least one other team member is selected. I chose the title company, however, that is just an option. You may know a contractor that you're working with. Put them here instead. You can answer yes to as many of the options as you would like. The system minimum is one. One role must be selected. Any role that is selected on the previous page will transfer to the team members page. Select Edit and then complete the information regarding the team member and then select Update Team Member. Do this for each team member that was selected before selecting Save. The disclosure page is all about relationships different entities within the application have with each other. Answer the questions and explain any relationships if necessary. All application types must upload a market study or needs assessment. If you have a market study that is specific to the area listed within the application and it's dated within the current or previous calendar year, select Yes and complete the page. If not, select No and complete the homeowner needs assessment from our website and upload. This is the last page before submitting the application. This is a screen that is required for the system, and unfortunately, the dates don't make much sense for how Federal Home Loan Bank Topeka analyzes owner-occupied projects. However, you are required to enter dates in these fields. After reviewing the date questions, we have determined that we can use just two different dates. The first four dates will be the same, and the date should be after the announcement of the AHP awards. The last three dates will be the same, and the date should be close to the end of your project. If you believe there are documents that we need, this is your last chance to upload them. Use the miscellaneous upload boxes to send us documents you believe we may need to review your application and that you've not had a chance to upload in a previous screen. Now that the project timeline page has been completed, you'll want to navigate to the application home screen to review your application one last time. On the application home page, review the status of all the pages. Any that have a yellow check mark or red X must be completed before the application can be submitted. Once you have all green check marks, go to Application drop-down on the left side of the screen and choose Sponsor Approval. This is very important. The only person who can approve an application is one of the lead contacts for the sponsor. The input role cannot submit or approve an application. If you are a consultant completing the application as an input role for the sponsor, you will have to notify them it's time to review the application and submit for approval. If a consultant does complete the application, we highly suggest the sponsor review each page carefully before approving, as they will be held to the commitments and information provided in the application. Review the certification listed on this screen. Select the box in the top left of the certification and then select Approve. As you can see, once the sponsor approval is complete, there are now two new sections that have not been completed. The system is showing you that these are the two sections the application member will need to complete. I do want to point out that after this entire time, you might have noticed there has not been a print option. That's because the member still has to approve the application. We only want everyone involved to be able to print the application after the member has approved it, and we all know that is the final application with no additional changes. Now that the sponsor approval is complete, an email will be sent to the previously selected sponsor contacts, input contacts, and member contacts. There are also several other scenarios where emails will be sent. One of the main emails I would like to focus on is if the member rejects the application. There are several reasons why this might happen, and don't worry, it's not as harsh as it sounds. As I stated before, once the sponsor approves the application, the member has to log into the system and approve the same application. If for some reason they see something that's wrong or they disagree with, they can reject the application. That means the sponsor and the member need to discuss what is wrong with the application. The sponsor will then go back into the application, fix the items necessary, and reapprove it. Once it's reapproved, the member will then complete the same steps as they did before, and this time, if everything is correct, they will then approve the application. Now that we've reviewed how to register, the steps to review the application, member approval, and emails, I thought I would review some basic navigation tools. There are several different ways to navigate throughout the system. What appears on the screen depends on where you currently are within AHP Online. If you are on the page that lists your applications, the Home link is in the top right corner. Home is also available in the My Applications dropdown on the left side of the screen. If you are actually within an application, the top right corner will show My Applications and Home. The left side of the page then shows as Application with Home and Sponsor Approval links in the dropdown. If you have any issues with navigating through the system or within an application, call us and we can help you out. FHLBank Topeka takes security seriously. If you would like more information regarding the security of the new system, please go to the links listed. They are available here or on our website. As I mentioned throughout the presentation, there are several websites you'll need. We have our AHP online application system, our AHP website, the USPS website for the ZIP Plus 4, and the feasibility workbook training videos. This concludes the presentation. If you have questions, please contact us. Thank you for your commitment to affordable housing. Have a great rest of your day.